I tried actually painting with the sponges themselves. I would put some paint on and then I would just blend it out with the sponges or actually I would take the paint from the the palette onto the sponge and then just do the blending like that. And for bigger miniatures like that, it worked better than with the um than with brushes. It could have probably worked with a big brush as well, but I didn't have huge brushes handy, so that's what I did, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. So I just want to get some reds in here now. Let's start by covering all of these um, flames with some reds because we got quite a lot, and I'm afraid I did put maybe a little too much white in there, but it's okay because we can cover it up and we can blend it. There we go. I've seen people have been experimenting a lot with different kinds of primers as well lately. I have to say that I have tried a few different color primers myself, but I never seem to find a huge difference in my workflow. The only thing is if I'm working on a darker primer, like a black primer, I probably wouldn't see what I'm doing when I'm doing the darker areas. So I'd probably prefer to work with a brighter primer, but I don't know. I'm pretty happy with this primer. I don't really feel the need to try a different color because the oils are so covering, right? They are so opaque. Exactly, Daka. Exactly. They're so opaque that it doesn't really seem to make a difference for me. Like for a while, I was thinking that maybe this primer here that I'm using that is a little bit off yellow was sort of like giving maybe a yellowy tint to my my miniatures, but really, I don't like. I've been doing miniatures that have mostly um very cool tones, like this one. I I I don't know. I mean, I guess I would have to, try them side by side, do a maybe like a grayish or bluish primers versus this one with the same colors and see if anything changes. But as soon as I'm putting colors on, the primer is just gone. So for me, not really. But it's cool that people are always experimenting, right? Because people use different colors, different techniques. I feel like maybe primer might have more of an impact when you're using acrylics, but even with acrylics, I didn't really, even, the whole zenithal approach didn't seem to do a huge difference for me, except for maybe when you use, contrast paints, speed paints, that kind of stuff. Maybe then. So for these flames, I was kind of thinking about a similar approach to what we did when we did the inner light, inner fire sort of effect on that Pit Fiend miniature. So I want to build up to a pretty like bluish, purplish color at the edges of the flame, but first I really need to make sure that all of the little recesses are taken care of. And it's proving a little time consuming. I can't deny it because it's just these minis are just, they have a beautiful texture. Go. It's interesting too. I haven't worked with cloth that has such a fine texture to it as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how the oils are gonna work on that because I think we can do some pretty cool gradients, some pretty cool effects. on that as well. But for now, let's keep working on these flames. So I keep seeing pieces of primer in there. You know, the fact that the primer is slightly yellowy like that does help me, because it's actually quite easy to tell if there's a piece of like unpainted primer in there, where if it was maybe a darker color or a more neutral color, I feel like it would be a little harder for me to tell if that's a piece of primer or if it's just like a little bit of